Hello and welcome to Newsbreak Chats. Ako po si Chai Hofilenya, ang editor ng Newsbreak. Ito ang investigative at in-depth section ng Rappler. Simula nung nakaraang linggo, every week na ang Newsbreak Chat Special Edition para masubaybayan natin ang maiinit na isyung may kinalaman sa eleksyon sa May 13. Ngayong araw na ito, makakasama natin sa ating kwentuhan at diskusyon si Attorney Emil Marañon, isang election lawyer na ang expertise ay automated election litigation and consulting. Naging Chief of Staff si Emil ng dating COMELEC Chair na si Sixto Brillantes. Nagsusulat din si Emil para sa Rappler. So I'm sure nakita nyo, nabasa nyo na yung ilang mga columns ni Emil. Nandito rin si Miriam Grace Go o Gigi na aming news editor na siya naman ang nagpapatakbo ng election coverage para sa Rappler. Magandang araw sa inyong dalawa.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Ang unang tanong ko ay para kay Emil. Batay sa iyong karanasan at nakikita, bakit ba nagiging napakagastos ng eleksyon? Ano ba yung pinagkakagastosan ng mga kandidato, mga kumakandidato?
Well, unang-una kasi, magtatanong ka bakit pinuboto ng tao yung isang candidate. So most of them would answer na because kilala nila yung isang candidate. So, main consideration actually ng candidates yung exposure na tinatawag. And for you na magkaroon ng exposure, it's either you go around day-to-day campaigning or yung iba ginagawa nila, nagkakaroon sila ng advertisement, hindi lang sa radio but sa TV ad. So, lahat nito may equivalent na gastos yan. For example, if you go around the country, then kailangan mong umikot, magbayad ng transportation, magdala ng tao. And apart from that, kailangan mo rin magdala ng campaign posters. Ang tawag dito, campaign posters all over the country. So may expense ka sa printing. And of course, yung pinakamahal sa lahat is yung tinatawag na advertisements. So TV at saka radio. To give you an example, TV advertisement, a 30-second advertisement would cost around 1.2 million.
1.2 million
yes,
na agad.
1.2 million na agad. So kung titingnan ninyo, pag pinagsama-sama mo to, it will actually balloon into a very huge amount. So, ang gastos, dito lahat napupunta yan. And of course, pinag-uusapan natin dito, yung legal na gastos. And there are, for example, ang reality naman dito is maraming candidate actually would do vote buying, which is still outside of yung legal na gastos na tinatawag. So ganun kalaki yung ginagastos.
So what you're saying is, kung meron akong, kunyari tumatakbo ako, kandidato ako for the Senate, ang bulk, anong percentage ng budget ko ang mapupunta or isa-set aside ko dapat for media, more or less?
Yes. So magkaiba. For example, iba yung strategy pag local, iba yung strategy pag national. Of course, pag sa senatorial candidates, it's impossible for you to go around the country. So yung easiest way, yet the most expensive way of introducing yourself to the public is through TV advertisements. TV or radio advertisements.
So TV pa rin ang choice, ang medium of choice.
That is correct.
Pero merong batas, di ba? There's a law that sort of tries to regulate election spending. Ano ba yung, there are certain caps or ceilings provided for by the law. Ano ba yung caps na ito?
So, ang original law natin is the Omnibus Election Code. However, no 1991, inamend yung certain portions nito ng Republic Act 7166. So, sa amendment natin noong 1991, tinaas natin yung campaign expense cap or yung maximum na pwedeng gastusin ng isang candidate in running for a particular election. For example, for President, 10 pesos. And all other candidates, it's 3 pesos.
Per voter.
Per voter. And then, pag political parties naman, 5 pesos.
Okay.
So, yan yung maximum.
Anong nabibili ng 5 pesos ngayon, di ba?
Hindi ka nga makapamasahe nun sa jeep. Di ba?
But we have to take note that these are actually 1991 standards.
Rates.
So, if you come to think of it, supposedly, if you factor in inflation, I'm sure na mas mataas din yan kesa dito. But unfortunately, since 1991 until now, hindi pa na-amend actually yung RA 7166. So, ang malungkot dito is we are implementing 1991 standards at 2019 prices, at 2019 rates.
If we were to make adjustments for inflation, halimbawa, yung 10 pesos na yan, magkano kaya yung dapat ngayon?
Hindi ako magaling sa... Hindi ako magaling dyan, but it should be way more than 3 or 5 pesos, definitely.
Okay. Ano ba yung Sino ba yung mga campaign top spenders natin from the past? Naalala mo ba from our
we have
mga
that.
reports?
In 2016, yung among the senatorial candidates, the top spenders, top 10, Tolentino, who is running again now for senator, 199 million. Yun yung declared niya sa Comelec. And then next was Joel Villanueva, 64 million. Then Sherwin Gatchalian, and Recto, Isko Moreno, Gordon, Kiko Pangilinan, Risa Ontiveros, TG Gingona, and Ping Lacson. Top 10 spenders.
So panay nasa hundreds.
Yeah. Starting with Gingona, it's 92.3 million, and Lacson was 87.93. Declared.
Declared.
Yes, that is correct.
Emphasis on declared.
When you say that, are we insinuating na yung mga dinideclare or sinasubmit na SOSE sa Comelec ay hindi makatotohanan?
Well, ako siguro, I mean, I came from Comelec, so I have experience as a regulator naman.
Yes.
Unlike now, sa kabilang bakod
May
na
mga
ako.
kliyente.
But kung titingnan ninyo kasi, diniscuss ko to sa last article ko, na yung reality naman dyan is actually walang audit mechanism yung Comelec to counter-check kung tama ba yung declaration sa may SOSE. Because sa totoo lang, if you come to think of it, pag talagang in-audit ng Comelec yung lahat ng SOSE, i-counter-check niya lahat ng na-issuing resibo sa BIR. If pag mag-cross-agency checking sila, maraming bubukol dyan. Diba? So, ang nangyayari kasi, since hindi na-audit, a lot of candidates are very comfortable na, okay, sige, kahit hindi ko i-declare yan, nonetheless, hindi din naman ako mahuhuli. Kasi usually, ang reality naman dyan, there are around, I think, 80 to 100,000 SOSEs being filed every after election. Ganun kadami yan.
Dami.
And Comelec is a very tiny department in charge dyan.
Ilan ang tao?
Hindi ko alam kung gaano kadami, but actually, hindi pa mga permanent positions yan. They would just get lawyers from one department and then they would hire contractuals and casuals. So kung titingnan ninyo, wala talagang way yung Comelec to counter-check all of these SOSEs, to counter-check one by one. Kasi ang priority ng Comelec dyan, titingnan niya lang, among those who filed, sino yung nag-exceed? So naka-red flag ka kaagad. Kung sino yung hindi nag-file, naka-red flag ka din. But all those actually
The details.
na below, doon sa limit, and then nag-file ka naman, parang under the radar ka, usually hindi na naka-counter-check yan.
Okay, by the way, kasi baka yung ibang nanonood, hindi nila alam kung ano ibig sabihin ng SOSE. So ang SOSE ay ang Statement of Contributions and Expenditures.
Okay.
And ano-ano ba yung hinihingi
Okay.
of the candidates pag nag-fill up sila ng SOSE?
Siguro just a little background, no? Why do we file a SOSE?
Yes.
Ano yung SOSE? So, ang mekanismo kasi ang reason ng batas, why do we impose actually a maximum campaign limit, spending limit, is to level the playing field. Meaning, regardless of multi-billionaire ka or isang simpleng mamamayan ka, you are spending within that predetermined limit na sineset ng batas. For example, pag sinet ng batas na 100,000 yung limit, so kahit kaya mong gumastos ng 1 billion, you'll be forced to spend 100,000 na. The reason for this is para equal yung chance ng both candidates na tumatakbo regardless of yaman nila. So, yun yung reason dyan. So, ang SOSE is actually the way of the Comelec to check if whether both candidates have actually spent below the limit. So, pinapadeclare siya, pino-force ka to declare
Kung ano ang in-itemize mo dapat, kung ano ang expenses mo.
So, you have to account two things. You have to account contributions. Meaning, yung pera na natanggap mo from third party other than your own money. So, there are instances na walang donors. So, sarili mong pera.
So sa expenses siya nakalista.
So yung second part is expenses.
Okay.
So ibig sabihin lahat ng ginastos mo in relation na related sa campaign, sa kampanya. So yun. So yung pumapasok na pera at saka yung lumalabas na pera, you have to account it. So yun yung konsepto ng statement of contribution and expenditures. Ngayon, 30 days after elections, RA 7166 requires all candidates, whether losing or winning candidates, to file their statement of contribution and expenditure sa COMELEC. So, ang ginagawa ng COMELEC dyan, dapat i-audit dyan kung chichikin, tama ba yung declaration, may hindi ba na isama dyan.
How much time does the COMELEC need? Or kunyari, sa dami ng kandidato, sa dami ng sources na fina-file.
Sabi mo, 80,000 sources?
Oo, tapos ang problema niyan, every 3 years nagko-compound yan. For example, every 3 years yung ating national elections, in between you have barangay elections. So sa barangay, mas marami tayong barangay. So more than 100,000 din, parang every a year and a half na dumadagdag. So nagko-compound lang yan.
So I can imagine parang nahihirapan ang COMELEC to audit all, di ba?
Yes, exactly.
And to come out with its own audit in a timely manner.
Actually, hindi lang siya nahihirapan. I think it's physically impossible for COMELEC to do the auditing.
Okay.
So,
so yung, di ba, a few elections ago, si Governor E.R. Ejercito, he was found to have overspent.
Yes.
And then
because for anong year yun?
2013 elections.
And then
6 years.
And because of that, he's perpetually disqualified from running.
Well, ang consequence kasi pag nag-overspend ka, dalawa, you have administrative and you have criminal. The perpetual disqualification, doon yan sa criminal aspect ng overspending.
At hindi pa ito final.
Hindi pa ito final. It's still pending with the COMELEC until now, since 2013. Ang reason why he was actually disqualified is yung administrative consequence ng pag-overspend niya.
Yun yung mas madali.
Yun yung mas mabilis. So ang nangyari noon kay ER, as a backgrounder doon sa hindi nakakaalam sa case, he contracted TV ads. And yung amount actually ng TV ads is already beyond
the limit.
The maximum limit if tatakbo ka as governor ng Laguna. So, since pinalabas mo yun, tapos nag-exceed na, automatic na. But the thing about this case is that it was actually not commenced by the COMELEC. It was actually commenced by a private person.
Yun yung point ko sana na kung 80,000 na sources na hindi matingnan lahat ng COMELEC, it must have to come from private citizens,
exactly.
voters, pwede pala.
Yun actually nangyari kay ER. It was a private, I think ang kalaban niya ang nag-file sa kanya ng case before elections. So because of that, nung kinounter-check ng COMELEC, even if you just check yung kontrata niya with the TV station, nagsumobra na siya.
Sobra-sobra talaga.
So it was enough actually basis for the COMELEC to disqualify him from sitting doon sa napanalunan niyang posisyon. So, it was in fact affirmed by the Supreme Court.
So, it wasn't a case of him, we thought, stupidly declaring sa sose niya ng sobrang amount. Hindi.
I think it
was really a matter
it came to a point na, ano tawag niyan, alam ko nag-exceedance siya. But it was kasi parang yung situation noon is pumutok na yung mga kontrata niya with the TV station. hindi ka na rin pwede magsinungaling.
Yung sa sauce mo.
So you'll be forced to actually write it sa sauce.
So naka-declare sa sauce na nag-overspend.
Yeah, so yun. So yun yung problema, pending pa rin yung criminal aspect niyan with the COMELEC. And if we want him to be perpetually disqualified, dapat tumuloy yan into an actual trial sa isang korte. At saka doon pa pwede ma-impose yung perpetual disqualification.
Okay, G, yung sa mga stories naman, bakit ba sinisilip ng media ang SOSE? Kasi is it just for the political parties and the candidates? Ano ba yung interest ng media at mga reporters, journalists sa ganitong dokumento?
Unang-una, kasi nga may batas na nagsiset ng spending limits, you will have to check their declarations if they are within those limits. Parang statement of assets, di ba? required yung mga government officials na magdeklara ng kanilang wealth. And against that, we measure over time kung meron bang unexplained accumulation of assets, of wealth. So, ganun din yung sa SOSE. Merong limitasyon yung pwedeng i-spend. Titingnan natin, sumusunod ba sila. And I think over time, it also points you to the fact na merong unrealistic caps already. Parang, sige, i-report natin that these are the caps and then may nag-overspend. Pero eventually, when you keep on encountering cases like that, as media, ikaw din dapat yung mag-point out na hindi na to realistic. Baka we are imposing something na practically all the candidates wouldn't be able to meet.
I think we're getting the sense, di ba, na parang napaka-unrealistic nga nung caps. The law is outdated, 1991 pa, and therefore it has to be changed. It has to be amended. Meron bang previous efforts in the past? Meron bang nagla-lobby for this? And sino yung at the forefront of it?
Yeah. Well, for example, hindi lang actually yung campaign finance law natin yung outdated, but our election law per se, even the Omnibus Election Code, was passed in 1985. So, we are already implementing automated election, but kung titignan mo, 1985 pa rin yung batas natin. So, may mismatch ka. So, apart from our law mismo, yung campaign finance law natin, matagal na pinag-uusapan yan. Ang haba-haba ng usapan. Ang daming Senate hearings yung pinatawag na paano actually to rewrite the whole Omnibus Election Code, including our campaign finance law, but hindi gumagalaw. Yung akin naman dito, as I have explained, sabi ko, our politicians are actually quite, parang hindi nila pinag-uusapan yung campaign finance na to because they know na even if magsinungaling sila, despite the unrealistic nga na campaign cap, kayang-kaya naman nila magsinungaling at saka hindi naman sila mahuhuli at the end of the day. So, siguro, kung titingnan ninyo, ang pag-akyat kasi ng campaign spending limit, it can easily be viewed by the public. It can be taken against the politicians. Kasi, bakit gusto nyong gumasto? Siguro babawiin yun later on sa amin, mangungurakot ka. Ganon. So, yun yung impression ng public. So, walang gustong galawin yan kasi ayaw nila nga yung mapagbintangan na gusto mong i-allow ka na mas gumastos.
Pero siguro doon dapat pumasok yung tamang perspective when media is covering things like this. Na we're not just covering expenses and spending to go after politicians or pin them down. It's really to show na baka naman unfair ka na dun sa political parties, sa politicians. Kasi nga, as we were saying kanina, yung 10 pesos per voter na allowed ang isang presidential candidate, hindi mo siya maging pamasahe sa jeep, diba?
At saka sa akin, nga, just to add to your answer kanina, we should look at this mas malaking perspective dapat. Kasi kung gumastos ka ng sobra-sobra sa eleksyon, saan mo babawiin yun? Basic question yan. Saan mo bawiin yun? So, usually, in fact, there's a lot of studies which link actually na yung ginastos mo sa eleksyon, eventually, kung sino may pinakamalaking gasto, siya din more likely yung mangungurakot. Kasi if you spend, for example, let's say, 500 million, alam naman natin na hindi naman abot sa ganung halaga yung sweldo mo. So, saan mo babawiin yan? And also, another question is, saan nanggaling yung 500 million? Kung dinonate, for example, ng isang multinational company, dinonate ng isang mining company, for example.
Interesting.
So we know more or less kung ano yung interest na ipupursu ng kandidatong binigyan nila ng pera. So sa yan, it's just not a question of expenses, but ano yung consequence yan after election? Paano niya influensyahan yung policy ng ating, yung policy ng mga nahalal na gobyerno?
How do we level the level? Yung playing field nga, di ba sinasabi, the intent of the law is precisely that, to give all candidates, whether mayaman or mahirap, with less resources, the same chances of winning. And nakikita nga natin na parang hindi ganun ka-successful itong batas.
Well, as of now kasi, ang lumalabas under our existing election law is yung viable na donors naman are rich people and actually big companies who I'm pretty sure na may kanya-kanyang interest din yan. That is why in other countries, for example, in Europe, they have adopted an entirely different model pagdating sa campaign finance. So for example, instead of giving the candidate the burden to raise the money, tinatanggal yun. In fact, it's the government that finances yung takbo ng mga candidates. Yung political party or mismo magbibigay yung gobyerno ng pera na eto pang-advertisement mo. So para hindi ka na mga problema. So that's yun yung parang way nila of leveling the playing field. Na instead of raising the money, the government will give you the money. Parang pag-uusapan na natin dito, yung platform at saka qualification na lang.
Kaya lang sa Pilipinas kasi nagiging chicken and egg thing eh.
Yes.
Parang like 2 decades ago, exactly 2 decades ago, nagko-cover na ako ng election and some politicians or advocates would say political party reform kasama doon yung the state financing political parties. Pero yung attitude ng mga tao na bakit ko popondohan yan? Ba't yan kukunin sa taxes ko? Sila naman yung uupo. Tapos andun yung mindset na sila yung makikinabang, mangungurakot sila, tapos we're sending them to the Senate or whatever position with our money. So, wala talagang seriously nagpupursue ng reform sa batas.
Pero sa akin, the way of approaching this is parang midway, parang compromise. Na you set yung realistic limit as to how much they can spend, and you also devise mechanism by which you can help candidates, for example, na mahirap, na para makatakbo in a national position. One, for example, na pinag-usapan ngayon is tinatawag na crowdfunding. So, ibig sabihin...
So, pati yan, sinatry na rin ng mga kandidato.
Yeah, for example, crowdfunding, ano yung konsepto nito? Ibig sabihin, it allows normal people na mag-pitch in ng minimal amount. 5 pesos, 50 pesos, 100
Dati, piso para kay Cory.
Actually, hindi mo, piso para kay
But ang problem nito is, technically speaking, under the law, allowed ka mag-crowdfunding. However, if you read the regulations, actually, yung requirement mo for you to donate, regardless of amount, very unrealistic. Because, for example, pag binasa mo yung batas, even if you donate 50 pesos, you'll be required to file a report of contribution.
May report pa?
May report of contribution. So, there's a form na bibigay yung COMELEC. You have to fill it up. May pangalan, may TIN, address, email, etc. And kailangan notaryado pa. So, would you go through to that extent if you're donating, let's say, 10 pesos, 50 pesos?
Yung bayad mo sa notaryo, mas mahal pa dun sa donation.
So, yung punto ko. So, in other words, wala pa tayong legal framework to allow crowdsourcing. Crowdfunding. So, wala pang mekanismo. So, if we do that, actually, we end up violating the law.
Pero kung tutusin, yung elections natin is masyado na siyang nahuli doon sa anything online.
Yes.
Diba? So, kung crowdfunding, wala kang mechanism how to monitor it. Pati yung social media ads and campaigning, which you wrote about. Diba?
Yeah, so ang dami pa nating dapat na iayusin. But the problem is, ang approach natin kasi in fixing our election laws is piecemeal. So we talk about the problem one by one, but baka yung better approach is actually upuan and rewrite the whole thing kasi lahat na interrelated.
May bago dapat tayong omnibus election code.
Omnibus election code, na upuan mo, ayusin mo campaign finance in relation to campaigning. So in other words,
kasama na diyan yung premature campaigning, which is allowed by the Supreme Court.
Ganito na lang yung omnibus election code, for example, 'di ba? Nag-set siya ng rates na like a senatorial candidate, for example, can spend 3 pesos per voter. 'Di ba? And then pero meron kang Fair Election Act na allowing this many minutes of airtime for your political ads sa TV, sa radyo, sa print. Pag kinompute mo yung rates nun ngayon,
hindi nagmamatch.
Nagamit mo na, over ka pa dun sa prescribed ng omnibus election.
So again, yun yung problema natin na instead of ayusin mo yung kabuuan na election rules natin, ang ating approach is piecemeal. So ang problema ng piecemeal approach is a lot of our legislators actually, when they change something, they don't take into account yung effect
The related laws, exactly.
To give you an example, yung nangyari sa premature campaigning, it was actually a single line in 8436, Republic Act 8436, which said na you will not be considered a candidate until the start of the campaign period. Ngayon, inad yung line na yun without actually analyzing ano yung effect ng addition na yun with campaigning, with our election offenses, etc.
Diba? Yung dates na lang you're not considered a candidate until the start of the campaign period, which is usually February. Diba? Pero because of automated process system para may leeway sila preparing for the ballots, they require the candidates to file their certificates of candidacy October. So parang October, November, December, January, may more or less 5 months ka na technically you're a candidate because you've declared. Pero dahil hindi pa campaign period, parang
so yun yung
bakit lumusot yun?
You can spend for 5 months.
Ang reason for that is it was actually the Supreme Court through the case of Pinera versus Comelec, which actually ruled na sinasabi na you will not be a candidate unless na-start ng campaign period. But then again, yun nga ang sinasabi ko na yung approach natin kasi in fixing our election laws is piecemeal.
Yeah.
So, ang better approach ang upuan, i-examine mo lahat para pag isang upuan, you can already like foresee ano yung effect niya with the other provisions ng batas. So as of now, we are all suffering from the effect of the Pinera ruling, for example. For example, ang technique ngayon, for everyone to evade the maximum cap limit, what they will do is the front-load expenses. So, ibig sabihin, buhos ka ng gastos before the start of the campaign
Which is what
period.
Bongo has done, like Villar before.
Jaime Marcos.
Yeah, so if you look at, for example, the expenses of these candidates, they've already exceeded the 180 million cap limit. So, some candidates would spend already like 500 million pesos.
Incredible.
For
amount.
ads, wala pa yung organization, saka rally, sorties.
Wala pa yung faraffle nila sa mga gathering ng mga barangay captains.
Yung poll watchers
wala
nila
pang
sa
social
election
media.
day.
Exactly. So yun yung problema natin. So patsi-patsi at saka unrealistic yung law natin. So we end up from the point of view ng Comelec, mahirap din sa kanila actually mag-implement. Because kahit sila mismo nung pag binasa mo yung batas, paano ang gagawin ko? Hindi nagmamatch yung batas.
I'm wondering, yung mga lawmakers ba natin, when they crafted all these laws na touching on specific aspects of the elections, nag-consult ba sila sa Comelec?
Usually it goes through consultation naman. But of course, parang nagkakaroon naman ng hearings. But at the end of the day, wala ka namang say sa final version. They can consult you, but whatever you say will not be binding on them. So they can always change it at the end of the day.
But the election workers are the ones who know how this will be implemented sa practical, diba?
Exactly. Totoo yan. As with all things naman, lawmaking should be a collaborative process naman between the legislature and the affected agency actually. But of course, we know na in actual practice, it doesn't happen.
Sino ba sa previous senators ang nag-push for reforms and amendments?
Well, for example, when I was in Comelec, the head of the Senate Committee on Electoral Reforms is Senator Coco. So parang kung titingnan mo, we were hoping sana na since he's probably foreseeing na tatakbo siya in 2019 elections, that lots of amendments or lots of adjustments could have been made during his time. But actually, despite all the never-ending hearings and whatnots, wala pa rin nangyari. We still have the same law since 1991. We still have an omnibus election code which is dated 1985. So yun yung problema natin ngayon.
Meron ka bang nakikitang
hope?
Hope,
Huwag mo naman
light
sa hope.
at the end of the tunnel na despite nga, outdated, lahat-lahat, what can we do? How can things be better?
One, I think the politicians and the political parties, kung nahihiya yung politicians because ma-accuse sila na self-serving, the political parties and then the election watchdogs, I think the push should come from them. na identify which are the laws that are outdated or unrealistic or difficult to implement based on what are the realities on campaigning sa grounds. And then sila yung mag-push. Sila yung mag-lobby sa Kongreso, sa mga lawmakers. And the media siguro, kung naiintindihan natin yung exercise ng eleksyon, yung proseso, it's not always bad naman to touch our laws, to tweak what needs to be tweaked.
Sa akin naman, ang nakikita ko dito na yung probably yung what can trigger this is, ako nakikita ko yung COMELEC. Kasi the moment that COMELEC will be very, very strict, the moment na magpakulong ka ng isang senador, mag-disqualify ka ng isang senador.
Ay, gusto ko yan.
I am pretty sure na magkukumahog sila na ayusin yung campaign finance law. I hope that COMELEC actually can sustain the enthusiasm ng past Commission and Bank. For example, I have to give credit to Commissioner Christian Robert Lim because he's really the one who pushed for this. Lahat ng regulations natin ngayon na very strict, galing yan sa kanya. But unfortunately, hindi na-sustain yung enthusiasm ng COMELEC. And I really hope na magbuhos sana ng hindi lang manpower but even resources ng COMELEC to do mandatory auditing ng SOSE after elections. And ako, mas i-prioritize natin yung ating legislators, both congressmen at saka senators. Because I'm pretty sure if you're going to be strict about it, you do...
And there are hundreds of congressmen and senators na pinupursunan ng kaso. Siguro uupuan nila yan at i-amend na natin.
Akyat na lang natin to, kesa naman makulong tayo lahat. So I'm pretty sure na pag ginawa yan ng COMELEC, I think we can see perhaps changes in the upcoming elections.
So you need an activist COMELEC?
Oh yeah, of course, definitely. We need an activist government. Hindi lang
siguro budget din. Kasi I think in the past, may experience kayo. It's another aspect of the election. When you were in COMELEC, there was a proposal, you were pushing para sa security ng automated polls, but it needed funds. But when you submitted the funds, the proposed budget to DBM, tinanggal nila yung item, di ba? So, kailangan mo din ng supportive na executive.
Or for example, marami din yan eh. So, ibig sabihin, hindi lang isang layer na may problematika na batas, but you have actually so many layers na problema na nag-compound na through the years. For example, we all know that COMELEC is overworked. It has a very small manpower, yet it's not only acting as an election manager, it's also an election judge. So for example, ngayon, they're the one securing na makaboto all 60 million registered
64,
voters. 64 million all over the country. At the same time, sandamukal na kaso yung pending sa kanila.
Disqualification cases.
Nagtatanggal pa sila mga posters all over the country.
So, lahat na.
Lahat na. And then you expect them to check pa sa campaign finance. So, ang burden is too much. So, probably COMELEC, I suggest they can actually work with accounting schools, for example. They can work with universities na nahayaan mo yung mga accounting students to actually do the audit for them. I mean, there are lots of things na pwedeng i-explore.
Yeah, the same way that election watchdogs. Dati nung manual pa yung election, di ba, kinokontrata mo yung mga tech schools, mga STI, para sa quick count. Pwedeng ganun gawin nila naman sa SOSE, mga accounting firms.
And apart from that, for example, PPCRV, NAMFREL, and all other election watchdogs, most of their concept kasi is pag they're only there during election day. But after that, wala na naman, and then mag-perform na naman sila after election. So, I mean, but if you come to think of it, actually, when we talk about election watching, it doesn't stop with election day. So, even filing ng SOSE, we can probably talk with COMELEC on how can we help in auditing all of these SOSEs. And I think ang daming pwedeng explore, ang daming pwedeng gawin despite the constraints sa manpower and resources. So, I just hope na masustain yung enthusiasm because doon ka lang makakapag-isip ko ano pwedeng gawin pag in the first place interested ka na gawin.
Okay. G, any other final words?
Siguro, para lang mas malinaw na picture why unrealistic na itong ini-impose nating caps. Sa batas natin, a senatorial candidate can only spend 3 pesos per registered voter. And if we have 64 million registered voters for 2019, that would be 192 million. Lang dapat ang pwede. Kung independent senatorial candidate ka, 5 pesos times 64 million, that would be 320 million. At alam natin na hindi lang 'yon yung ginagastos ng mga senatorial candidates. So yun, napipilitan silang magsinungaling when they are declaring their expenses. Or, ang sabi nga ni Attorney Emil kanina, nagbuhos na ng gastos before the official campaign period. And you were asking kanina, saan nanggaling yung 400 million plus ni Bongo na monitor ng PCIJ? In fact, yung nasilip ng PCIJ was, here are the top ad spenders before the start of the campaign period. Tapos tiningnan nila yung declared wealth nitong mga taong to. They've already spent much more than their entire wealth. Yeah. So saan galing yun talaga?
Emil?
Ako siguro para ma-appreciate ng tao kung gaano ka-importante yung hindi lang yung tamang batas but yung tamang implementation. Because yung ending niyan, yung quality din ng kandidato na nahalal natin sa Senado or sa Kongreso or sa gobyerno. Kasi if we have a defective law and we have a questionable way of implementing it, then you end up with bad candidates na dahil sila may pera.
They can afford.
Because they can afford to run, sila yung may pera, but nonetheless, it doesn't mean na sila yung may kakayahan na maging senador. So, siguro, yun nga, so sanga-sanga na yung problema. But again, ako in the long run, since, well, andyan yung election next month, but hindi naman, I mean, in the next 3 years, may election uli eh. So, ibig sabihin, hopefully after this coming election, ma-realize natin ano yung mali sa batas, anong dapat baguhin, at sana upuan na before 2022 elections. Because again, we are looking at a very important election this coming 2022, and hopefully we can fix all the problems para pagdating na 2022, ready na tayo. At saka, hindi na tayo umupo uli para pag-usapan yung same problem that we've
I'm sure pag-usapan ulit natin 3 years from now.
Talking since like
at saka
1991.
sinusulat mo yun at yun.
Yeah, can you imagine?
Same problems.
Can you imagine 1991, grade 1 ako?
When they set the limits.
Ako naging abogado na.
Luma pa rin yung
graduate
batas.
sa COMELEC and all, but still.
Siguro kung may babaguhin tayo, I would want na ang asikasuhin nila is the rules that would apply to crowdfunding.
Exciting yung crowdfunding,
diba?
actually.
Kasi yun yung problema natin, the quality of the candidates, yung mga kurakot or yung mga mayayaman na may kapwa mayaman na may interest na magpopondo sa kanila, sila yung may panggastos. Pero yung mga quality candidates, qualified candidates, may values at prinsipyo na candidates, sila yung wala masyadong pera. The only way you can fund their campaigns nationwide, for example, or kahit sa localities niya, would be ordinary voters, citizens donating. Pero kung may problema nga tayo sa proseso ng crowdfunding and reporting it, pinahirapan mo pa yung mga tao na gustong magpondo sa kanila.
Technology is there eh. Parang technology can enable crowdfunding.
Exactly.
And yun din yung bagong level playing field siguro na mabibigay ng crowdfunding.
At saka yung maganda kasi sa crowdfunding is yung donors mo, ordinaryong mamamayan. So in other words, ang vested interest nila hindi kasing laki ng compared
bigyan mo
sa,
ko ng kontrata.
Kumpara sa big companies or mayayamang tao na we all know that they are donating for a reason. Because they want favor in the future. That's the fact of it. So unlike pag crowdfunding, nakaspread yung interest into like thousands of people.
So, walang dominant.
Walang dominant interest.
It's really because they want to send a good candidate to the Senate.
So, actually, yun yung thrust na dapat i-explore natin because we want actually people who are competent to sit in the Senate or in Congress. Ako na-experience ko yan because now I'm handling candidates who are really good and I would say really competent, but the problem is every time may meeting yung pinag-uusapan,
resources.
how can we sustain it next week? You know, it's very sad that we all know that they're probably the best candidates out there, but the problem is walang pera. And ang problema pa naman, election is all about money. That's the reality of it. You'll never introduce yourself sa publiko kung wala kang perang pambili ng ads or pambili ng radio ads, for example. Wala kang pambili ng poster, wala kang tao magkakabit sa'yo sa tawi-tawi. So yun yung basic problem with this one. And as I said nga, because of this problem, we end up with bad government leaders. And at the end of the day, it's the people who suffer. So hindi dapat na maliitin natin yung problema to. Because at the end of the day, people suffer because we have bad election laws.
Okay.
Wow,
Ang takeaway ko from this discussion is crowdfunding.
Crowdfunding,
Siya ang bagong siya ang dapat na
Let's
bagong
push for
i-push.
Yes.
At saka luma na ang batas, panahon na talaga para i-amendahan siya. It's time for legislators, watchdogs, and even universities to get involved. Hindi lang during the election season, but year-round. Kasi nga elections are held year-round, no? So siguro ang aming panawagan din is also on the COMELEC and legislators to really sit down and think about how we can modernize our election laws. This is the only way we can modernize as a country and choose the best leaders for the future. Maraming salamat sa pakikinig sa Newsbreak Chats. Maraming salamat kay Emil at kay Gigi. Marami talagang kailangan pang talakayin, pero meron pa ulit next week. So, manood lang ulit at makinig. Maraming salamat. Ako po si Chay Hofilenia.
Thank you.
And Emil will continue.